Have you ever believed something so deeply only to find out that it wasn't true at all? It can feel like a wound of betrayal. It's a cycle of hoping, then being disappointed. And it's exactly why stories like the Belle Gibson case, which if you haven't seen it, Netflix just turned into a drama called Apple Cider Vinegar. And that's what the topic of this video is really inspired by. But that's why stories like these shake people so deeply. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why we believe what we want to believe and what that has to do with your self-concept. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Lorena. I'm a somatic self-concept and identity coach, and I support you in bridging the gap between who you currently are or perceive yourself to be and who you desire to be or become, so that you can stop repeating the same patterns over and over again in your life and finally step into the reality that you were always meant to experience. So, as I already said in the intro, this video was inspired by the Belle Gibson story. My Australian crew will know this much better than anyone else. And I have heard of this story years ago, but now it's gaining traction again because Netflix brought out a series about the story, which is very good. I very much enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you've seen it. But basically, for those of you who don't know, Belle Gibson was an Australian influencer who pretended to have cancer. And she grew this huge social media following and had multiple businesses that were based on a lie, that were based on a scam. Many people fell for it. Many people got hurt by it. It's a shocking case, but it inspired me to make this video and dive into why do we believe what we want to believe? How do we figure out which of our beliefs are fueled by illusion and which ones are fueled by truth? How do we figure out where fear is just holding us back from truly believing, or where we're believing in a delusion just to keep ourselves safe? Before we go into all of this, we do have to explore how are our beliefs even shaped in the first place. Now, a commonly held perception is that our beliefs are shaped by thought, because our beliefs tend to come through as thoughts. And often we do immediately believe the things that we think, and so we can mistake our thoughts for beliefs. It's also said that if you think something often enough, you're going to start believing it. But it's not that simple. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean you believe it, and it doesn't mean you have to believe it. And repeating a thought or an affirmation often enough also doesn't mean you believe it. Let's say you want to believe that you are lucky in love, but you don't yet feel it, right? It might not be reflected in your external reality in this moment. So you can affirm to yourself that you're lucky in love. You can tell yourself you're lucky in love. But just because you say it to yourself often enough doesn't always mean that the belief actually changes. If there's a strong belief in yourself, especially a strong core belief, that your love life is doomed, that it's the most challenging and unlucky area of your life, that you keep attracting emotionally unavailable people, whatever your story is, that core story remains dominant no matter how often you affirm the opposite. And that's for two reasons. It's our subconscious that determines our beliefs, not our conscious mind, right? We think we choose our beliefs, but they are almost always chosen for us. And your subconscious will always try to protect you from pain that you've previously experienced. So it clings on to beliefs that help you feel safe. But these beliefs might keep you stuck in unwanted emotional cycles. They might keep you stuck in repetitive patterns and experiences that you so deeply want to change. Now, all that doesn't mean that it's impossible to change your beliefs. Quite the opposite. You absolutely can, even the most deeply ingrained ones, but just not through thought alone. Why is that? It's because what beliefs are also shaped by are experiences, not just thought. So when I say experience, that can mean personal experience, right? Something that happened to you or for you. Or it can mean through observation and the resonant meaning that you consequently assigned. So if your beliefs are shaped through experience, then you also need to reprogram them through experience. And that is possible even if you don't have the external experience. right? It doesn't have to be that the external reality reflects that for you. Then you're outsourcing your power. A lot of the work that I do with my clients in Recreate Yourself revolves around this. It's the integration and the dissolution of outdated belief systems and outdated identities. And it's the embodiment and the internal, lasting, and felt experience of the new. But bringing it back to the Belle Gibson story, why do we believe what we want to believe? Now, in the case of this story, people obviously wanted to believe that it's true. People wanted to believe that this apparently cancer-stricken single mother was doing so well healing herself and looking fantastic through simple things like eating healthy. Now, why did people believe that? Because it's a story that gives hope. Now, hope is beautiful, but when hope is crushed, it crushes everything. Beliefs that are built on hope alone can be destructive because they are not built on conviction. I always say to my clients that there is a big difference between hope and faith. Hope is a beautiful state because it can initiate, right? Every desire you have starts with a hope, with a possibility. Hope can inspire you and it can become a bridge to faith. But unless you get fully grounded and embodied in your internal trust in yourself, in the process, in the reality of what you desire, your belief tends to be shaky. In order to even consider embodying different belief systems, you first have to face reality. You can't be in denial to what is if you want to establish something new, right? In the spiritual and self-concept and manifestation community online, there's this popularity of ignoring your reality, just being delusional, right? And by the way, I feel like I want to make a whole video on what it actually means to ignore your physical reality and how to do it. Let me know if you want that video. Share a comment or just give a like on this video so that I know you're interested. I already have a video around not doing it, why it's not always a good thing to do, and ensuring that you don't spiritually or emotionally bypass. And I'm going to link that video below already. But basically, being sold a story that you want to be true is just so tempting. And I hear this all the time from clients who got stuck in a loop of consuming manifestation content, especially, and it would give them hope, but it would leave them in an endless cycle of trying, getting disappointed, the old pattern showing back up, and so on. You may want to check out my series on whether the manifestation community is a cult. This was such a fun series, and in this I go deep into dismantling the toxic tendencies of the community so that you can remain discerning. It's not to be negative about it, but it's so that you know what is true for you and you don't blindly trust, because let's face it, the coaching industry especially is not regulated. Anyone can wake up tomorrow and say, I'm a coach now, and not everyone is in integrity. And that's why it tends to get a bad rap as well. But anyways, the women who tend to work with me are often women who are in it for the long run, right? They tried the quick fixes that are so often promoted because they give hope. The quick fixes give hope. It's like, okay, I only need to do this meditation for 30 days and then it happens. Not always that simple, is it? Especially if our beliefs are so deeply ingrained. So these women are often women who tried the quick fixes, who got burnt, who are committed to invest in themselves, to do the necessary work and to really go all in, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it requires you to face the most challenging emotions. They aren't looking for a savior or seeing themselves as the victim of their circumstances. And even when they do, they are committed to getting out of this. But that's not nearly as appealing as being told that just doing this technique for X amount of time will get you what you want, right? Doing belief and self-concept work in a way that it's sustainable, that it's emotionally integrated, that it's fully embodied, that it's deeply grounded in your body, that's not nearly as appealing to the masses. By the way, if you're like, what the hell is she talking about? I have 2 free resources for you that I can recommend you. I have a free self-concept mastery blueprint, which I've got linked below. And I also have a free subconscious reprogramming masterclass, which dives deeper into the sustainable way to change your self-concept so that you're not bypassing anything, that you're not shaming yourself, that you're not neglecting your fears and emotions and your beliefs, so that you can take the first step to actually knowing how to approach them. Because this brings me to your beliefs are inspired by both your fears and your desires. And we want to know that first. Anyway, what is something that you truly believe, right? We don't want to bypass. We don't want to just lay a new belief on top of an old one. We need to first figure out, what do you actually believe deep in your subconscious? What is something that you believe because it's maybe wishful thinking or a hope? Or what is something that you believe because it's a fear? It's a false belief, a fear that your subconscious has created based on past experience because it wants to protect you from that coming true, even though that belief is completely false. Now, in the same vein, this also begs the question, which ones of your desires are actually true desires and which ones are false desires? So false desires meaning desires that are actually coming from lack, or that are coming from trauma, from a wound, or that are coming from other people's expectations for you. So you want to be really clear on what it is that you actually want and what it is that you actually believe, so that you don't let your desires or your fears cloud your judgment and your discernment. And I'm not saying this to tell you that whatever you currently want isn't possible. This is not to create doubt by any means. And I know it can do that sometimes, right? We don't always want to hear, is this actually what I truly want? Or is this actually what I truly believe? Or am I just being delusional and making things up in my head? I'm not saying that to create any doubt in you. I'm just saying that because unless you're honest with yourself, you're not going to get to a place where the belief is fully embodied, because you're bypassing what's on the way. You're bypassing what is real and true for you right now. And that's where the resistance kicks in. Fears are not the problem anyway. Let your fears be there. They are not a barrier. They just need to be integrated. They just need to be alchemized. They just need to be healed, right? It depends on your specific fear, your situation, your trauma, what's going on in your subconscious. I can't give you like a clear-cut answer to how to do this or what this looks like for you without knowing your specific internal world and your specific situation. But working through these fears, alchemizing these fears, that's a really big part of dismantling the beliefs. It's a big part of clarifying them and shifting them at the core, which is a huge foundation of the work that I do with my clients. But fears aren't the problem. Don't let them limit you just because they're there. They exist, yes, but they don't have to hold you back. And your hope doesn't have to hold you back either. So the next time you find yourself clinging to a belief, ask yourself, do I believe this because it's true to me? It's actually something that resonates deep in my soul? Or do I believe this because I need it to be true? Your beliefs are really powerful, but they don't have to control you. When you learn to discern between truth and illusion, that is the first step for you to let your self-concept evolution actually begin. Let me know in the comments, have you ever believed something that led to a jarring wake-up call? If so, share your story below. And next week, we're diving into how your self-concept might be blocking you from receiving love. So if an epic love story is one of your desires, make sure you tune in then.